Hello everyone, welcome back to Doll Flippers. It's me, Cody. Who else would it be? Um, so like I said, I wanted to start doing some doll portraits, whether they be for celebrities or for, just regular people. And one of the dolls that's always stood out to me is this particular doll. It's Raquel from Barbie's Life in the Dreamhouse series. She's Barbie's weird, mean girl's friend. I don't really know why they hang out with each other, but that's not really my business. I guess it's a love-hate relationship. And what's fun about this doll is there are other Raquel dolls, but this particular doll has her face sculpted in a smirk. I would argue that I would, speculate that this is one of the first, if not the first, dolls made by Barbie, made for the Barbie line that have been sculpted asymmetrically. So I decided to make this doll into another famous smirking actress, Natalie Dormer. I don't know too much about Natalie Dormer. I haven't really seen her act, but I know that in an article somewhere she said that, I don't mean to, look so coy and cheeky when I'm smirking. I just have, as she called it, a lopsided mouth. And I don't see anything wrong with that. I think that it's very charming. I think that, there's nothing offensive about her smile or anything, but some people find it offensive. And I know that this is a very minor flaw, and she's very conventionally attractive. But we're going to be going much more into this. I think that, why not celebrate our flaws? That was the wrong layer. There's not a lot of, dolls with quote-unquote flaws. That's the point of dolls. But I feel like imperfect dolls are lots of fun, and I feel like they should be embraced when they show up. So I'm gonna reiterate, like I always do. I don't use a brush when I do this series. I like to copy paste from pictures because this is something that I can do that I can't do with a paintbrush. I also do this digitally instead of with dolls because, it would cost a lot of money if I bought a doll every time I had an idea for a repaint. Plus, I'm not as skilled as I am with Paint.net, which is a free and legal Photoshop clone. There's one eye. So yeah, there's lots of more diverse looking dolls that have ultimately died out. It's like Barbie's the only one that really stands the test of time. Like all other trends fade out. It's just like there have been revivals of things and they last for a little while, like the Strawberry Shortcake revival. Polly Pocket didn't really have to be revived, but it lasted for quite a while. That's like the second longest surviving, but Barbie's been around since the late 50s. I think that next year should be her 60th birthday. If next year is 2019, and I think that Barbie started in 1959. I could be wrong, though. Okay, so those are her eyes. They're a little surreal to look at, but, I like it if the eyes are a little big, or it kind of looks like, you know, when you do this, when you turn real people into dolls that don't have the exact proportions, it kind of looks like you ran it through the Photoshop liquify tool, and that's really fun to me. So there are her eyes. Now we're going to work on her lips. So we take the color from the lips over here. This might not be the best picture. I'm going to try and find a better one. Like a higher definition. I think this would be good. Credit to Royalty Girl on Flickr. So we're going to open this up again. I don't think I have to move the eyes around too much because, yeah, it's the same proportion of a doll. I just need to make it a little bit larger. But you can see that now that this is in a better light, because, you know, that first one was for a commercial, it's just no background, increased lighting and all that stuff. You can see the real deal. The skin tone is much different, and Natalie Dormer is a lot lighter skinned. So last time when we had to change skin color, we just changed the tone of the doll when we were making the Billie Eilish doll. But since this is an actual photo, I'm going to be changing the doll's eye color. The doll's skin tone. So we're just going to futz with... Just turn that way up. This isn't how it's going to stay, but... See? When we get everything blending... Her skin is very pale compared to this, but... I'm not as... Like I said, I'm not as picky with white people's skin because it doesn't matter as much to most white people, I would think. If you're like me, who's picky, I would say that, you know, if you're making a doll of me, I would say that's a little too tan for me, but historically it's mattered more to people of color because usually when it's a matter of taking a real person who is darker skinned and making them look lighter skinned in another depiction, that is like, you know, it's a matter of whitewashing, and we don't want to do that here. If this were a real doll, I would definitely be... If this were like, you know, a physical doll, I would probably be dyeing the skin with RIT. Yes, you can dye doll skin in the same way that you can dye doll hair. Not in the same way, it's just like there's different methods and stuff, but you can dye doll skin with something called RIT. R-I-T. I don't know how to use it, so I would, you know, follow a tutorial if you're thinking about changing the color of a doll's skin. I also don't know if it's a matter of if you have to bleach it when you want a lighter color, because that's the case with most things that you dye. The other option is finding like really good tactile spray paint and just being very careful with that. You'd have to like tie the hair up, and then after you do a few coats on either side, you have to get between the joints and get between the limbs and all that stuff, and it sounds a bit more tedious, but I'm sure that you would get more vibrant results. So there is the lips, And then the last thing we do, usually, unless it's a... oh, excuse me. Unless the hair color is important, or like, a feature of the doll, because I like dolls with weird quirks, is coloring the hair. This looks very sloppy, but I'm going to be fixing it. This is how I do a lot of things, like I was just saying with the ridge. Just, you do a big, grand scale thing, and then you get to the details. Like you throw like a big net, over a school of fish, and then you weed out the dolphins. Or, smaller things like crabs, to fit this analogy a little better. So yeah, I don't know much about Natalie Dormer, but she's got a very interesting, cool face, which is, the weirdest way I could say that somebody is pretty. So nobody, crucify me if I'm, supporting someone who's, if Natalie Dormer happens to be problematic. I have been learning to be a little more merciful with myself with that, because there's been a lot of self-policing I've been doing lately. It's gotten to a point where there's a saying, don't meet your heroes, and that means, the more you learn about somebody, the less fond you end up being of them, especially in celebrity world. Somewhere along the line, when you become famous enough, you start to lose a little bit of your humanity. There's very few exceptions. But I'm in America, and there's become this idol worship culture where if you like somebody enough, they can do no wrong in your eyes, and you feel like you make excuses before you criticize someone, like you would criticize someone in your life. But it's become this cycle for me of, it's just oh, I can't like this person now, I can't like this singer, I can't listen to this singer's music, I can't watch this actor's movies, I can't, and it's just been a lot of redundant anxiety for me. I have enough things to worry about, and at some point, you just have to start separating the art from the artist. Because we're in a consumerist culture, and that means that somebody's going to be getting your money no matter what. It's just, they always have their siphons at the ready, and they're always looking to get your money one way or another. And I figure just, if this is the way it's going to be, then I can handle, a little bit of guilty pleasures. So this is a little, it's a little chunky looking. It's always difficult making something lighter where it was darker. Raquel has very dark brown hair, and Natalie Dormer is almost platinum blonde, but this is what we got. If this was a real doll, I wouldn't be dyeing the hair, I would be rerooting it, or just make a light blonde wig to put on the doll. But here we have it. This is our Natalie Dormer doll. If you like this, what I made here, and somehow got inspired and end up making a doll like this on your own, like in real life, Please let me know. I'd love to see it. I'd love to know if I'm inspiring somebody. Thanks so much. Thanks for watching. I'll see ya. Bye.